Tuesday, August the 25th, 2020. It's 9 a.m. We're in the Century Jury Room of the Hood County Justice Center at 1200 West Pearl Street here in Granberry, Texas. This is the regular meeting of the Commissioners Court of Hood County, Texas. Today, we have with us, as we do every second and fourth Tuesday, Dr. Bill Miller of the Hood County Pastor Council, who normally brings a minister from all the different churches here and in the entire Hood County. And we've had them from all over, which has been a blessing for everybody to be included in this wonderful process here today. But the good news is that Dr. Bill Miller is also a minister himself, so if something happens right at the last minute, we just call upon him to give the invocation, and that's what we have this morning. Dr. Miller, please.
Back up. He said back up. Father, we just come together this morning in the name of Jesus, and we thank you for this occasion, Father, when we can gather together. Lord, you've told us that when two or more of us gather together, that you'll be in our midst. And so we invite you to be here today, God, that you would move among us and that you would speak to the hearts of our leaders. Father, we thank you for leaders who love Jesus. We thank you for leaders who have the interests of the kingdom of God, Lord, and we ask you to help them make their priorities in line with the kingdom of God being first. Because we know, God, that if we put the kingdom of God first, that everything will work out for the best. So we thank you for these people, God. We ask you to bless our leaders, bless them in every way, bless them body, soul, and spirit. And in the meeting today, God, we ask you to help them make their priorities, make good priorities that are beneficial to this community, that are a blessing to this community. God, give them wisdom so that when they consider these things, Lord, it would be your wisdom that helps them make their decisions. Father, we pray that as this meeting carries out, that we would be in one accord, that we would be in unity. We pray, God, that we could make our decisions without strife and discord. And we thank you, Father, for everything that's going to happen here today. We pray that it glorifies you in the name of Jesus, and everybody said, Amen. Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it. Y'all join me in a pledge of allegiance to this great nation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You please join me in the pledge of allegiance.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank all of you very, very much. Today we have a real good program here today. We have a couple of special presentations. The first one is from Ms. Donnie Green, who's the Director of Aging for Area Agency on Aging of North Central Texas. Ms. Green works closely with Jeanette here of the Senior Citizens and does a wonderful job working with her. So, Ms. Green.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. Good morning, and I appreciate the opportunity to be with you all this morning. It's really good to get out of my office, and I would say that it's good to be wearing something other than yoga pants for the first time in 5 months, but I don't want to start out with a lie. So my purpose is to give you guys an update on some of the services that are available through the Council of Governments Area Agency on Aging. I've got several slides. I'm going to move through these really quickly, and I also brought some brochures in case you or other attendees have interest. So I'm going to talk about two different programs this morning. The first is our Area Agency on Aging, the other AAA, and then the second is the Aging and Disability Resource Center. And before I get started with that information, I do want to convey my thanks to J.C. Campbell. He's a longtime member of our Regional Aging Advisory Committee, and he was the one who allowed me to be with you all this morning. So I'm going to start by talking about our Area Agency on Aging, and we receive both federal funding through the Administration for Community Living and the state through the Health and Human Services Commission, as well as funding from the 14 counties that we serve, and then we have a number of local grants as well. The programs that we make available through our Area Agency on Aging are available to people who are at least 60 years of age, caregivers of people who are at least 60 years old, people who are at least 55 and caring for grandchildren under the age of 18, people age 55 and over who are caring for children with severe disabilities, and people who care for family members of all ages who have Alzheimer's or related dementias. Eligibility for our programs is on the basis of age. However, our programs do target people who have low incomes, those who are isolated, those who have disabilities, and those who live in rural areas. All of the services that we make available are provided at no charge to those who qualify. However, we and our local partners are able to accept contributions, and any contributions have to go right back to the services under which those contributions are made. So there are two different ways that we provide services. We have direct services that we administer from our office in Arlington, and then we have contracted services that are made available through our local partners. So our direct services include information and referral. We've got a benefits counseling program that helps people understand public benefits such as Medicare, Medicaid. We've got a couple of case management programs that provide short-term help. Typically, as older adults are coming home from the hospital or nursing home, we're able to pay for in-home services to allow them to remain in the community as opposed to going into nursing homes or assisted living facilities. We also administer the Long-Term Care Ombudsman program that advocates for people who live in both nursing facilities and assisted living facilities. And then I've highlighted in red some of our new services that are supported through additional funding that we've received from the CARES Act. One of those programs is the PEARLS program, which provides counseling to older adults who are experiencing depression, loneliness, isolation. Depression is a very, very common condition among people of all ages, particularly older adults who may have lost loved ones, who may have gone through changes in their health status. It affects about 1 in 4 Americans over the course of our lifetimes, and researchers project that due to the isolation associated with COVID-19, the sheltering in place, that it's likely that we'll see about a 1/3 increase in the incidence of depression. Other direct services, we've got a program that helps nursing home residents return to the community. We do a number of health workshops. We have a fall prevention program that we've had to put on hold due to COVID because it's intended to work with small groups. Most of our venues are closed because of COVID, but we've taken a number of our health workshops and we've changed them from face-to-face classes to virtual classes. So we're working with small groups who will either join us by Zoom or call over the phone and learn tips for better managing their chronic diseases, whether it's diabetes, depression, heart disease, arthritis, as well as chronic pain. And then we've got a new program called Bingo Size, which is a fall prevention program that we'll be making available at senior living communities and assisted living facilities. That's a brand new service for us. So the other way that we provide services is through our local partners, and our primary partner in Hood County is Hood County Committee on Aging, and we work through the Committee on Aging to make available congregate meals, which again, because of COVID, they've had to put those services on hold, but a very robust home-delivered meal program, and the folks who had been attending the senior center but can't, many of those folks have been moved over to the home-delivered meal program. One of the flexibilities that our federal and state partners have provided during the pandemic is somebody doesn't have to have a disability in order to qualify for the home-delivered meal program. So anybody who's age 60 or over can qualify for that home-delivered meal program during the pandemic. We also contract with Hood County Committee on Aging for transportation, which provides scheduled transportation within the county boundaries. And we've had a few conversations with the transit system system to see about funding out-of-county transportation for folks who may need to travel from Granberry to Fort Worth in order to see a specialist. In terms of funding for Hood County Committee on Aging, when we started the year, we estimated that the funding for the nutrition and transportation programs would be $220,777. I'm delighted to report that we have received additional funds, not only through the CARES Act, but also through the Families First Act. And with that funding, we've been able to increase funding to Hood County Committee on Aging, our other partners. So the actual funding for this year will be more than double, specifically $523,129. And the vast majority of those funds will go to the Home Delivered Meal Program. That's available this fiscal year, but if Hood County Committee on Aging can't spend all of those extra dollars by the end of the federal fiscal year, which ends September 30th, they can carry those funds over to the new fiscal year. Oops, went a little too fast. So in addition to contracting with Hood County Committee on Aging, we also contract with the Alzheimer's Association, which does a number of programs and support groups specific to dementia care. And they also have a wonderful program called REACH that provides really intensive education and support to unpaid family members who are assisting someone with dementia. So in the old days, they'd come out, they'd do home visits. Right now, they're providing those services typically over the phone or by Zoom or another technology platform. Our contact information were available at 1-800-272-3921. Now I'd like to move very quickly to our Aging and Disability Resource Center, which is the second major program that I have responsibilities for. This program is funded by the state, by the Health and Human Services Commission, and the purpose is to help people of all ages with all types of disabilities, whether it's a physical disability, a mental illness, an intellectual, developmental disability, access long-term services and supports. So the major services that are available through this set of programs are information and referral. We also have a housing navigation program, which helps people locate affordable housing. We also have an options counseling program that works with nursing home residents who have interest in returning to the community. Through this program, we'll help them set up services in the community to make a successful transition. And then with CARES Act funds, we're currently offering up to 2 months rental and utility assistance for those who are experiencing financial burden. Maybe they'll have to pay for in-home services. They hadn't budgeted for that. So through this rental utility assistance, we can kind of free up funds that folks can use for other priorities. We also have a lifespan respite program that provides a temporary break to family caregivers who can't afford to pay privately. So through this program, we'll issue vouchers that people can use to pay for summer camp, help in the home, daycare. In some cases, folks have also used these vouchers to pay for a short-term admission to an assisted living facility or a nursing facility. A brand new program that's funded by the CARES Act is the Connections program, and this program provides an electronic tablet and up to 1 year's data plan to people who are older or disabled of any age who are without internet access. So a lot of doctors are doing telemedicine. That's great, but if you don't have a tablet, you kind of lose out on the benefits of that. Again, we're doing a lot of health classes via Zoom. That's great, but if you don't have internet access, again, can't really realize the full benefits. So through this program, we'll be providing the technology, the data, and then we'll also make available techies who can help people either over the phone or face-to-face set up the tablets, learn how to use them. So this is a program that's not yet available, but we do expect it to go live within the next week. We also have an emergency food assistance program that's funded by the CARES Act, and this provides up to $200 in emergency food and hygiene supplies to people who are older or disabled and experiencing financial crisis. And this program is ready to go live. We just rolled that out within the last few days. Our contact information, 1-855-937-2372. We had come to Granberry a few times, met with some local partners, Hood County Committee on Aging, Home Health Agency. We'd made arrangements to start a couple of satellite clinics in late March, early April, and guess what? Life kind of got in the way, so we had to put those plans on hold. But as soon as we and our partners reopen, we really look forward to opening those satellite clinics. Through those satellite clinics, we'll send a staff person from Arlington to Granberry, and she will be available to help people locate resources. She'll be able to help them fill out applications for Medicaid benefits, food stamps, and so on. This is my contact information, my email address, my phone number. So with that, I will conclude my remarks. I'd be happy to respond to any questions that you all might have. And again, I've brought just a few brochures that I can leave with you all if you or anyone else may have interest.
Well,
Yes.
thank you very, very much. That was very informative, and you have done a great service, I think, to the citizens of Hood County. And we want to
Thank you.
Mr. J.C. Campbell for always being on that committee. He works very hard on it, doesn't he? I know that. So thank you very much, and I'll open it up for questions. Does anybody have any questions of Ms. Green?
I don't have no questions. I just appreciate the job you do for our elderly people and disabled people. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you. And you've got great leadership
Yes, we
within
do.
the
Yeah.
Committee on Aging.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Does your organization do anything about investigating nursing homes that we're hearing complaints about right now?
That's a great question, and we do have a long-term care ombudsman program which advocates for people who are in nursing facilities and assisted living facilities. We don't investigate per se. We don't have any regulatory authority. That authority rests with the Health and Human Services Commission, with their regulatory services, but we work hand in glove with them. So through our programs, we do help people resolve complaints. And sometimes as we're assisting with resolving those complaints, we do make reports to regulatory services. We'll provide information to them. But again, they're the ones who have the authority to issue fines or sanctions. We just kind of work to resolve issues on a less formal basis.
Thank you.
You bet.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes, I'd just like to make comment that in order to get these services, you have to call and get in touch with them. And the phone number is on the back of these brochures to do that. But you have to take the first step because they got 14 counties to take care of. So if you've got a need, something, you call this number on the brochure, and they will get with it and help you.
Okay. And I just noticed that Miss Jeanette is down here. Would you please stand up? This is the lady that actually administers these programs here in Hood County and does a fabulous job, doesn't she, Miss Green and Miss Campbell, Mr. Campbell? Is that right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
does a great job, and thank you for all that you do as well to make this program so successful. So, y'all got a great team here. Keep it up.
Thank you very
Okay?
much.
Well, thank you very much for coming, and I appreciate it very much on the behalf of all the people in Hood County, Ms. Green.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Donnie.
Okay, for the next presentation is something that's very important, I think, to everybody, especially men, but to all the families here. And it's a special proclamation declaring September Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. And we're very thrilled today to have Ms. Wanda Strange here and Mr. Wolfram Blattner here. Would you two please come up? And I'm going to ask the Commissioners Court to come down, and we're going to hand you a special proclamation, okay? Y'all want to come down?
I need to look at the picture of us, all of those.
Yeah, I think he's gonna, okay.
There's somebody with the camera here, Miss Strange. I'm gonna stand by the good looking woman. You too. I'll be here. How about this? Yes.
Y'all look at the smile.
This is very, very important, rather lengthy thing here, but I'm gonna read down it the last year about all of this. Whereas all men are at risk of prostate cancer, the citizens of Hood County are encouraged to increase their personal awareness of prostate cancer and of the importance of prostate cancer screening. Therefore, I, Ron Massengill, County Judge of Hood County, Texas, do hereby proclaim September 2020 as Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. Do you have anything you would like to say?
I do.
Please.
And we're pretty brief, so.
Well, that's all
Okay,
right.
very good.
We'll get out of here
Okay,
so we can
all right,
listen to you.
okay, very good.
You wanna?
I'll pull that down. I'm kind of short.
Yeah.
Yes. We really do sincerely appreciate the opportunity to be here on behalf of the North Texas Prostate Cancer Coalition. And I suspect you might wonder why a woman serves on the board of the Prostate Cancer Coalition. So when I worked for Mary Crowley Cancer Research Center, I had the opportunity to facilitate the US2, or North Texas Prostate Cancer Coalition support group at Medical City. And in that position, I was able to meet some very incredible men who are very passionate about spreading awareness about prostate cancer and the importance of advocacy, screening, and support and education. All the other board members on the North Texas Prostate Cancer Coalition are survivors of prostate cancer. And that's how I met Wolfram, actually, as well, too. The mission of North Texas Prostate Cancer Coalition is to inform the Texas community by providing coordinated educational support about prostate cancer for all men and their families, and to be a collective voice in elevating prostate cancer to major health priority status in the state of Texas through increased awareness and advocacy. So why is this important to you and the Texas community that you serve? Each year, cancer kills 14 million people worldwide. Overall cancers. Annually, more than 230,000 men are diagnosed with prostate cancer, making it the most common non-skin cancer in the United States. And it affects somewhere between 1 in 6 and 1 in 9 men, depending on which website you look at. This number increases each year as the general population of aging men increases. Prostate cancer is the second largest cause of cancer death, exceeded only by lung cancer, and it kills about 82 men a day. Think about that. Prostate cancer has no symptoms until it's in its advanced stages. And screening includes a PSA blood test and a digital rectal exam. A biopsy is required to confirm the diagnosis. And there's some confusion because lately the media would have us think that PSA is not all that important, and there was some questions a couple of years ago. But it is important because that, coupled with your doctor's exam, is how it's detected early. And this disease is always treatable, but if detected early, prostate cancer is often curable. Thank you for your attention and for your willingness to declare September as Prostate Cancer Awareness. Thank you so much. And I'll recognize Wolfram.
Thank you, Ms. Strange. Mr. Blattner?
I'm Wolfram Blettner. I'm past president of the North Texas Prostate Cancer Coalition. I'm here as a 15-year prostate cancer survivor. and I know I owe those 15 years to early detection. The proclamation that is was provided to you includes statistics that all men and women should be aware of. The purpose of presenting this proclamation is to use this opportunity and platform to address the citizens of Hood County, both men and women who are watching or will watch the video of this meeting. Citizens should be aware of this disease so they can discuss it with their doctor. We are hoping that the county can make the information available to the public. This disease can strike any man. Its occurrence can be detected and monitored by a simple blood test that measures prostate-specific antigen, or PSA. Awareness and early detection still are the key to defeating this disease. There are several treatments available once cancer is found. Thank you, Commissioner White, to sponsor this proclamation, and thank you, Judge Messengill and the Commissioner's Court, for the opportunity to raise citizens' awareness of this major health issue. Thank you.
all.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Blattner. Thank you both very much. Okay, and now we come to the service awards. And the first one on the service award is Melissa Morris, 5 years. Got the Honorable Cotton Howell here today.
Here's my chance, is a prostate cancer survivor.
Oh, who is? Oh, good. Congratulations, Ms. Morris. Next, we have Kimberly Jordan, 5 years. She's not here today. Next, we have Rosa Rodriguez. Hello, how are you? We've seen you around a lot, okay? Yes, we have.
They don't get enough credit,
Okay.
so this is a good
Mr. J. Riley. Okay, Rosa Rodriguez, 10 years. Good. Congratulations. Next, we have Laura Self, 10 years. Okay, Ms. Wanda. Congratulations, yourself. Next, we have Joshua Lane, 10 years.
He is not able to attend today.
Okay. That's why he's a good employee. Next, we have Davine Brown. We all know Davine Brown here. I've known her as Dee Dee for 30 years.
Sergeant.
Sergeant. Yeah, drill sergeant. Sheriff Deeds.
Thank you for your
Fi-
service. Dee is our sergeant up here at the Justice Center, taking care of all her staff out in the hallways, keeping everybody safe.
Sheriff, she gives good hugs, too.
It's a long distance picture.
Her husband wants to take a picture.
You can come up.
You get it? All right, good. Okay, next we have Mr. Howard Winiger, 20 years. 20 years? Miss Berry, 20 years?
20 years.
How about that? That's a good,
Eddie's our absconder officer as well as community supervision officer, and we're very proud to have him for 20 years. It's pretty nice.
oh. Congratulations. This last one, I can't believe this. Terry Parker, 30 years? 30 years? Terry, when did you start working here, when you were 12?
Just a teenager.
Yeah.
11.
Okay.
Terry, welcome
12 years old.
Welcome to
Well,
the
this is-
30-year club.
Congratulations.
Sir, I appreciate it.
Tara's the office manager and runs juvenile probation, and we couldn't do it without her, so thank you.
Thank you.
Listen, I'm gonna throw a question at you. How many employees and elected officials are in the 30-year club?
Oh, not very many. I don't know the number.
That's because, how long has Mr. Deaver been working for the county?
I don't know if he's old.
That's what, that wasn't the answer I was looking for, but.
33 years, Judge.
Huh?
33 years.
33 years. Boy, howdy, that's good, isn't it? All right. The next part of this program here, I want to remind everybody that if you wish to speak on any item that is on the agenda today, you need to fill out a public participation form that Sheriff Dees has in the back of the room. You'll fill that out and see what agenda item you want to discuss, and then hand that to our county clerk, Ms. Katie Lang. She will then hand it to me, and I'll call on you at the appropriate time. So the next thing is the consent agenda. Does any of the commissioners wish to pull anything off the consent agenda?
I have a question. I don't really think I need to pull it off, but I just need some clarification on 2 points. Under the line item transfers, under auditor, number 6 and 7, I couldn't find, I'm sorry, the county inmate housing account. What account is that, Becky?
It's the out-of-county inmate housing from
Do you have the number on, what account number that is?
It's 0105690, and I don't remember the ending digit.
You can send that to me later?
Sure.
So that's out of county, okay. That's all I had, thank you. Just need a clarification.
So with that cleared up, do I hear a motion regarding approving the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to present, or to approve the consent agenda.
Motion been made by Commissioner Cotton to approve the consent agenda. I hear a second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner White. Any further discussion? All those in favor say yay. Yay. All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Okay. Now, that brings us down to the public roads operations. Mr. Don Lenny, who does an excellent job, by the way. And so the first thing you have is a public hearing to discuss and consider approval of some traffic regulations. Am I right, Mr. Lenny?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
So what we need to do is to convene into a public hearing at this time, and we do so, and it is like 25 to 10 at this particular time. So we're now in a public hearing. Mr. Lenny.
Judge Massengill, Commissioners, the first one that we have is to reduce the speed limit from 40 miles an hour to 30 miles an hour, and it's on a section of Old Granberry Road that runs from M&M Ranch Road to the approximate 5400 block of Old Granberry Road. What has come up on this is that we have some citizens that live there, and they've built some homes. It's not quite enough to go to 25 as a neighborhood roadway, but it is, with the driveway spaced like they are, it is very certifiable to go down to 30. I spoke with Commissioner Eagle about this some time ago, and he's agreeing with this. It's a short section. It runs from that part there. It's probably 12 to 1,500 foot long, but it's just it's a kind of a little neighborhood that we really need to lower the speed limit on that, and then from that point to Crescent, it's 40. The second one is in Precinct 1. We've had a couple of requests for a stop sign at this intersection. Evidently, the way it's set is that I'm assuming people are just, they're not stopping. It's almost a T, but I'm assuming people on Crest Ridge are just taking it as a curve. So this is another validated signage that we do need probably to set. And I've also spoke with Commissioner Deaver about this situation. Road Ops does recommend on both these traffic regulations of placing the stop sign and making this section a 30 miles per hour speed zone.
Okay. Okay, you have anybody else has anything they want to discuss here about either one of these two traffic regulations?
Just a question on the Old Granberry M&M Road deal. How far is that from 377? Is that further up? You know, the area that we looked at that.
Yes, sir. It's a little further eastward.
Okay.
From that.
Because one of the things that we are, you know, dilemmas we get into is we get an area that, is it DOT? Is it City of Granberry? Or is it county? And in some places within a few hundred feet, it's all three.
Yes.
So, but I appreciate you doing that, and I do agree with with your recommendations.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, if not, we'll reconvene then into the Commissioners' meeting, and I am prepared here to entertain a motion on first number 1, reducing the speed limit of 40 miles per hour to 30 miles per hour in a section of Old Granberry Road from M&M Ranch Road to the 5400 block of Old Granberry Road.
Yeah, and I'll make that motion.
A motion been made by Commissioner Eagle in that regard. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Deaver. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. With regard to the second traffic regulation of placing a stop sign at Crest Ridge Drive at Overton Court, do I hear an appropriate motion?
Motion so moved.
I'll second.
Motion been made by Commissioner Deaver for the placement of stop sign at Crest Ridge Drive at Overton Court, second by Commissioner Eagle. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, you got one more item, don't you?
Yes, sir,
Glenn?
Judge.
Okay.
The second one is to discuss and consider possible fees and schedule for the Hood County Brush Yard. The reason, this has been going for a couple of years, in passing, talking with commissioners, those commissioners coming out on Wednesdays and watching the operation. It's gotten to the point, in your packet, I got a preliminary of what we're looking at from past years, the size of trailers. And the second page, actually from June of last year through December, we counted each one that come in and actually could tell you which one were contractors. And it's basically, they come up to about 35% of what comes in, of the loads that come in. But in volume, conservatively, it's about 65% of the volume that we receive from the public. Like I said, we've talked about it, and it's kind of gained momentum at the first of the year, and then COVID hit, and we've kind of backed off. But we thought this would be a good time to go ahead and approach it and decide whether we want to go ahead and start charging for some of the brush that's coming in, or just let it go. But it's grown quite a bit in the last 2 years.
It's 35% of the customers, but it's 65% of the volume.
Yeah.
You know, it's easy to tell why the volume is coming from the contractors, because they're going to come in with the bigger trailers and bigger loads.
Yeah. You'll see on that fee list, you'll see dump beds, and that's what we've been seeing the last 6 or 8 months. So it's gotten a lot bigger. So.
Do you have any recommendations as to what the county should do?
It's happened before, Judge, back when we used to do driveways. I mean, actually, the county did the whole thing from top to bottom, where we had to stop doing that because contractors kind of took advantage of it. We would get it all on grade and everything, and they would charge the homeowner for what we did. And I'm sure they're charging homeowners for the brush that they're hauling off. So, I mean, it's...
You know,
This brush yard has come a long ways. Back when we first started, we had a hand-fed brush chipper, and when the tornado come in Rancho Brazos, we got to rent a large chipper, and through the rent, I kind of made a deal with the help of the other commissioners to take the rent off to buy this large chipper. So the brush yard has really grown to small to way out of hand now. I mean, if you've been out there, the lines are all the way down 51. I just think it's time that we, the maintenance on that large chipper is eating us up. Just a lot of things going on that I think it's a good idea. I mean, I pushed this for several years, and one other thing I'd like to ask Don is, right now it's Wednesdays from 8 till 12 noon. And then you've discussed this. I know if we add another day in there, your hot shot crew will be involved in running this thing where they will not be taking care of the roads. So I'd like to throw a proposal out there for you guys to think of in the next courts. I know the Commissioner Precinct 1 elect is out there to maybe changing it maybe from 2 days, from 1 day to 2 days to cut the load down, you know, the lines on 1 day. So it's just something for the court to think about. We can do it now, or we can do it for the next court to come up to maybe decide that if we pass this right here.
You know, Commissioner Deaver, I think, you know, the 2 days would also help keep the traffic off of 51. And
I agree.
Make it a lot safer. Eventually, I believe this brush yard will need more help, because when it gets overloaded like we did back in the spring, you know, they had cars backed up almost to the Methodist church. So, I mean, the contractors use it, and of course, they're being paid by the homeowners to bring it. I don't want to penalize the homeowner. You know, I don't believe they should be charged, but the contractors, you know, they're making money off of it, and so I don't see any issue with them paying their fair share.
And we do. We believe this fee that we've structured here does not affect the citizen that's just bringing in from their yard.
Most of the trailers are like 5, 8, and 10, 12 foot trailers.
They are. Yeah.
Commercials are big trailers, dump trailers, and all that. So I believe they'll be taken. The citizens will be taken care of.
It's easy to. I mean, personally think it's easy to figure out which one's a residence and which one's a business that's bringing their stuff. And, you know, sometimes the businesses bring root balls out there. They're full of dirt. They're not supposed to be doing that. Yeah. I mean, it's convenient for the contractor, but, you know.
The question is for the court today is maybe pass this and decide whether we want to open up another day or not, or wait and for a later time to see if we want to do that. As I said before, me and Don talked about this. They can do it for another day, but it will take the hot shot crew off the regular road maintenance. But it's like Commissioner White said, later down the road, we may have to have a full-time crew that does this 3 or 4 days a week.
And if approved, we don't plan on starting this till it's the first Wednesday of October, the new budget, October the 7th. And that'll give us plenty of time to get the word out, pass out flyers to everybody that comes there from between now and then, and find out exactly what we need. We've never taken money before, so I'm sure I'll have to get with the auditor and treasurer and figure out what it is that we do. So.
Okay, what would be the 2 days that you would recommend? Right, you said Wednesdays right now, from when to when. So that's kind of.
What do you think, based upon traffic and everything else?
I think to help the citizens, I would think Wednesdays and Thursdays.
Wednesdays and Thursdays?
Yeah, if it was to.
And from when to when? What do you think would be
It's for the crews and stuff from like it is 8 to noon.
From when?
From 8 a.m. to noon.
8 a.m. to noon. So Wednesdays and Thursdays from 8 a.m. to noon. Okay. Now, we also discussed possible fees. Now,
Yes,
this
sir.
is just on the big contractors stuff, not on the small things for the citizens here.
Yeah.
What do you think is fair, looking at the expenses, like Commissioner Deaver talked about the maintenance on the big chipper and what we have? What do you think would be?
Well, this is the one that's before you is the one that we've come up with. There are some commissioners that think it's a little too little. I really don't know. I actually got these quotes off of other counties in Texas that, not a whole lot show up on the web, but there were some.
Okay, so what we got in our packets here is what you're saying, if the trailer's length is 16 to 18 feet, $30.
Yes, sir.
Trailer is greater than 18 feet, $40. Dump beds 10 yards or less, $40. And dump beds larger than 10 yards is $50.
Yes, sir.
So that's what you would propose to?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you think that what we should take into account is do this so that we can have it after the new budget?
Just
And do it
starting.
in the first Commissioners Court meeting in October? Is that what you think would be good?
No, sir, it'd be the first Wednesday of October.
Okay, yeah,
And-
yeah, but on the Commissioners Court, to get it approved, when do
We
you,
could approve it now. If we want to, we could make the motion to make it effective the first Wednesday in October, that these new rates would apply to the brush yard on Wednesday from 8 a.m. to noon, unless we wanted to go to a 2 days. You know, I'd like to see what it does to impacts the brush yard before we went to 2 days. Let's try the 1 day with the charges. It might affect the
It sure
Good.
could. Sure could.
So we ought to wait and see, and we can come back then if it's still needed, and we'd kind of see what kind of money we're bringing in. Could we afford to, because you might have to hire people if you're taking the hot shot crew out, instead of 1 day, now you're taking them out 2 days, somebody's not going to be out there fixing potholes. So
Yeah.
that's just a kind of a thought and recommendation, but we could.
yeah, I kind of like that, see what it would do. I think that's a good idea. You want to make that an motion?
I actually agree with Commissioner Cotton on that, and here's why. We're not trying to penalize or put a burden on residential individuals, correct?
Correct.
And this is a tax transfer. It's like a dump truck or a concrete truck on the roads. They do a lot more wear and tear on the roads, but they spread it out across all the taxpayers. And I agree, I think that we should, the commercial people who are taking advantage of this, I believe they should pitch in and pay. And I also agree with Commissioner Cotton that if we start charging these commercial people who are coming in and they comprise 65% of what's coming in, it may take care of itself regarding trying to come up with another day.
Sure could.
So that's just my 2 cents.
Wednesday, the first Wednesday in October would be the 7th.
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll make that motion to establish the rate fee as identified in our packet to start effective Wednesday, October the 2nd?
7th.
7th?
Yes, sir.
7th. It'll be the first Wednesday in October.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made in second to begin the new schedule and the new fees as stated in the packet to begin on October the 7th of 2020, which is the first Wednesday. Any further discussion? Made by Commissioner Cotton, second by Commissioner Eagle. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Good job, Mr. Lenny.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay. Next is Development, Mr. Clint Head.
Morning, Judge. Morning, Commissioners. Development accepted an application for a replat on Roller Creek Ranch, Phase 3, Lot 230R in Precinct 3. Staff recommends the public hearing for this replat be set for the October 13th, 2020 Commissioners Court.
Yes, Judge, I'll make a motion to set a public hearing for the following replat, Rolling Creek Ranch Phase 3, Lot 230R, October 13th, at the Commissioners Court, October 13th, 2020.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner White. Set a public hearing for Rolling Creek Ranch Phase 3, Lot 230R. Second by Commissioner Eagle. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
The next item we have is the final plat of the ranches at Rock Ridge, lots 1 and 2, Block 1. It's a subdividing of a 7.5 10th acre tract out of the M. Hardin Survey, Abstract 217, Hood County, Texas. The final plat will create 2 lots. Lot 1 will be a 2.041 thousand acre tract, and Lot 2 will be a 5.49 thousand acre tract. The status address of this property is 5600 G Road. The property is located in the Water Quality District of Precinct 3 in the eastern part of the county and will be served by well and on-site sewage facilities. Staff has reviewed this final plat and recommends approval as presented.
Further discussion? Do I hear a motion?
Yes, Judge, I'll make a motion to approve the final plat of the ranches at Rock Ridge, lots 1 and 2, Block 1, Precinct 3.
Second.
White to accept the final plan on the ranches at Rock Ridge, lots 1 and 2, second by Commissioner Eagle. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Head. Okay, next, financial. Ms. Becky Kidd.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Commissioner Eagle, that line account number you're looking for is 010-5690-45200, and I also texted it to you.
01, say it one more time, I'm sorry. 010-56.
5690-45200. That is out-of-county prisoner housing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Judge, Commissioners, for this court, the expenditures total $1,029,459.99. The auditor's office has reviewed all these invoices. We see no issues and recommend payment.
Any further discussion? Do I hear appropriate motion?
Motion to pay the bills.
Okay, motion been made by Commissioner Eagle to pay the $1,029,459.99. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Eagle. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Judge, Commissioners, we've also received and reviewed the monthly reports. We see no issues with these and ask that you accept them as presented.
Okay.
Looks like I got all yeses, too. I don't like to see the no's.
We don't either, so we very much encourage people to be timely, and if there's issues, we work them out before we get to court.
good deal.
Okay, any further discussion? Do I hear a motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion, Judge, to approve the final reports received and reviewed by the Auditor Department for the period of August 1st, 2020 through August 15th, 2020.
Second.
Okay, motion been made by Commissioner White, second by Commissioner Eagle, to approve the financial reports received and reviewed by the Audit Department for the period August 1, 2020 through August 15, 2020. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kidd. Okay, now we go into miscellaneous. Item number 1, authorize the county judge to sign the Victim Coordinator and Liaison Grant, OAG contract number 2107183 for the fiscal year 2021. This grant is for the period of September the 1st, 2020 through August the 31st of 2021. So everybody's got that grant there in their packet here. Is this the same thing that we have received last year? Sheriff, do you know?
Yes, this is, every year we've had the victim liaison coordinator under the sheriff's office, and so it's the same grant we get every year.
So it's the same thing. So you're recommending that we go ahead and sign that?
Yeah, that, the employee is under that grant, so we need to keep that going, to keep her here. She does a lot of good for the county, for victims, so it's a great thing. She's a great employee, so I would recommend that we move forward and allow you to sign this and keep it coming.
Okay.
Commissioners, this grant pays $42,000 a year toward her salary and other expenditures, so it's absolutely wonderful to get this grant.
Okay, good deal. Okay. Any further discussion? Okay. Do I hear an appropriate motion?
Motion to authorize county judge to sign the Victim Coordinator and Liaison Grant, OAG contract number 2107183 for the fiscal year 2021.
Second.
Okay, motion made and second to authorize the county judge to sign the victim coordination and liaison grant. The thing. No further discussion. Let's call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Nay. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Sheriff and Ms. Kidd. Item number 2, discuss and take appropriate action to approve the purchase of a truck for emergency management coordinator out of Fund 101. Price of $48,450.30, includes truck, necessary equipment, and installation. Mr. J. Webster, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm asking permission for y'all to grant me to spend $48,450.30 out of our CARES Act money to purchase a vehicle for me to have to be able to effectively do my job a little bit better, so I don't have to always ask the fire marshal or deputy fire marshal to use their pickups to either haul the trailer or the stuff that we're delivering throughout the county, or ask the, as in yesterday, the Fort Worth Fire Department to help me deliver some stuff. So I'm asking for y'all to allow me to spend some of the CARES Act money to purchase this vehicle.
Okay.
Okay, the vehicle you're driving right now, where's it going to go? I mean,
it belongs to the fire marshal. He is allowing me to drive it, so it'll go back to him. That Tahoe currently has about 135,000 miles on it. We are babying it the best we can to not have to spend a lot of money on it right now. It's got a couple issues that we're just kind of holding off on due to the end of the budget year.
As I understand it, there's no Hood County money being used to purchase.
That is correct. Me and Becky have had long discussions and with the state of Texas about spending the money and using the CARES Act money to do that. So I'm not asking y'all to provide me any money out of capital or anything.
So could I?
Doesn't cost us any Hood County money, and I think that everybody understands that you need a pickup to pull that trailer that we purchased. Haven't that, the trailer's already been purchased, am I correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
And it cannot be pulled by that Tahoe, am I correct?
No, sir, that's correct.
Okay.
Yes, Commissioner Eagle.
Just, where is that CARES Act money? What account is that one in, Becky?
Fund 101.
Thank you. And do you know what we've received so far of CARES Act money?
The 20% that we received up front was $505,383. Is that right? Something like that? Yeah, it was $505,000. We're slated to, out of the reimbursement packets that we've already turned in with a few more pieces of documentation, we're slated to get 2.5-ish.
Jay, did you get quotes on this?
I did. I've been working with Lieutenant McDonald on getting all of the stuff. That's where the pricing came from, was to make sure that I followed how purchasing needs to be done for the vehicles. Yes,
this
ma'am.
is putting all the radios in it and everything?
Yes, sir. That's all of the equipment that I would need to do the job. Or if anybody needed to borrow that truck, they would still be able to have the appropriate equipment to do it.
So you're not going to have to come back and ask for any more money?
No, sir.
Y'all heard that.
Any further discussion?
I'll make the motion to approve the purchase of a truck for emergency management coordinator out of Fund 101, the price being $48,450.30, includes truck, necessary equipment, and installation, and nothing else. Oh, that's not in there, but that's added.
I second.
Okay. Motion been made by Commissioner Cotton to approve the purchase of a truck for emergency management coordinator out of Fund 101, price of $48,450.30, includes the truck, necessary equipment, and installation. Second by Commissioner White. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Webster.
Thanks, Judge. Thanks,
Becky
Commissioner.
Kidd. All right, item number 3, consider and take appropriate action regarding Coke Beatty's request to reappoint Roger Steeds for a term of 1 year and Ed Saheimer for a term of 2 years as trustees for Pecan Valley Centers for Behavioral and Development Health Care, which expire on August the 31st of 2020. So, Sheriff, you get to wear another hat on this, and Ed is not here today, but I've been to meetings where both the sheriff and Ed were there, and they do a really great job, and I don't see any hands going up begging to be made trustees for the Pecan Valley Centers, which is a very good organization, something very, very necessary to this county. So I do hear appropriate motion.
Judge, I'll make a motion to, I guess, for Coke Beatty's request to reappoint Roger Deeds for a term of 1 year and Ed Stillheimer for a term of 2 years as trustees for Pecan Valley Centers for Behavioral and Development Health Care.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner White to accept Coke Beatty's request regarding Roger Deeds and Ed Stillheimer as trustees for the Pecan Valley Center. Second by Commissioner Deaver. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Congratulations, Sheriff, you got a new hat again. All right, item number 4, discuss and take appropriate action regarding property owner's request for a septic system design variance from the Tceq guidelines at 400 Mars Court, Granberry, Texas.
Yes, Commissioners and Judge, I put this on the agenda. You're up, Mr. Baum.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to pass out this packet so you can follow along. I didn't realize I can do a PowerPoint, or I would have brought that.
I'm glad I didn't tell you that.
Yeah, all right, you know, you can move it. Thank you. Oh, yes.
Is that extra?
I only have one. Is that right?
Yeah.
So thank you for hosting me, Judge and Commissioners, today. I wanted to talk to you about my request. My wife and I have owned our home at 400 Mars Court for about 10 years down here in Granberry. And about a year ago, we decided this would be a great place to retire. So our plan is to tear down the home we have right now and build one that would support us during our retirement years through to the end. As part of that, we started working with an architect, and we designed a 4-bedroom home that is on pages 2 and 3. And the reason I include that layout in here is it's part of my reason for request for the variance, is that there's no dispute that it's a 4-bedroom home. While it has a large square footprint, a large square footage, there are some extra rooms in there, like a den, a game room, a yoga room, that clearly are not bedrooms. They don't have closets, but we have built a 4-bedroom home. So that is material to my point. The second part of this packet on page 4 is I'm showing a layout of the property that shows the footprint of the house, and we are on the lake. We actually have water on 2 sides of the property. It's kind of a pie-shaped lot. And we've moved the house such that we can maximize the amount of septic area on the property. The property is just under 0.4 of an acre, so there's not a lot of room.
How much of an acre?
Huh?
How much of an acre?
0.4.
0.4?
Yeah. And so what we've done is try to move the house so that it's within, obviously, within the property and closer to the lake so that we can maximize the square footage. Some of the Tceq guidelines for septic placement, and you may or may not know, is it's got to be at least 25 feet away from the lake, as well as 5 foot away from the property lines. So using those criteria and using an engineer and using the architect's layout, we've got this septic area identified that will support 300 gallons of water usage or septic usage per day. So the Tceq guidelines are listed there actually on page 5. And what I wanted to point out, there's really 2 criteria for the square footage or the gallons per day rating of a septic area. It's both bedrooms, size, or the number of bedrooms, and the square footage. And this is where I have the request for variance. Well, the house we were designing has just under 5,000 square feet, which would put us up into the equivalent of a 6-bedroom house, showing the septic requirement at 420. Our house is really, my point is, it's a 4-bedroom house for really just the two of us. And then occasionally when we'll have family, grown kids and maybe future grandkids and things, they'll come down for holidays. But essentially the house is going to be for the two of us. We're not building a dorm. We're not expecting to have a lot of people. We don't expect to have, we're not going to have 6 bedrooms. So the criteria I'm hoping to focus on and the variance requested is to use the 4-bedroom criteria only and not the square footage, which ties to the 300 gallons per day usage of the septic system that's designed by the septic engineer. So the next part of the packet is I pulled some data, and it showed the water usage since COVID and everything that we've been kind of stricken at home and not going into work. And this really shows primarily the gallons per day usage that my wife and I have. We've had our boys visit for the holidays a little bit. Maybe there's a Memorial Day in there. I don't have July data, but 4th of July they were down a couple of weekends. But basically this shows the usage of my wife and I, and this comes to roughly 82 or 80 gallons per day, and that with a 300 gallon capacity or 300 gallons per day septic system, we actually have a buffer or excess of 220 gallons per day. So the one that's designed on the space I've allowed, or that's allowed, clearly is going to be in excess of what we need and what we've used. And there's some couple of pages there showing the actual detail of the bills. And then finally, there's a couple of pages there with a lot of detail, but that's the septic system that was designed by the engineer, and it shows in detail that it has the capacity for 300 gallons per day. I can't really get any more out of it, out of the land. The potential mitigations, I know there's concern about building a house of that size, and at some point in the future, hopefully 25, 30 years down the road, maybe somebody else gets it, they could convert it and add a lot more residents in the house. But when working with Jeannie at Environmental Health, she said one of the mitigations might be that we add a rider or clause to the title of the house that it can't ever be more than 4 bedrooms. So that's my argument, that's my point. Asking for the variance for basically just the square footage and focusing on complying to the number of bedrooms of the TCEQ guidelines for the house we'd like to build.
The engineer that designed the paperwork he handed to y'all says that there will be no warranty for the design performance on his design, and he clearly states on the back of the paperwork from James Sims, he made reference to a 6-bedroom residence on it. TCEQ made an exception to all subdivisions platted before 1988 that smaller lots would be allowed to have a septic if the size of the structure had the land to support the OSSF. In this instance, the only option Mr. Baum would have should the system fail is to pump, would be a holding tank. This property is 100% in the floodplain in the water quality district, as you can see from the map, denoting the system. The lake is on 2 sides of the property, and a drip emitter system is the only allowed system that can be within 25 feet of the lake with treated effluent.
So let me make sure I'm clear on something here. Under the TCEQ guidelines, if it is designated as a 4-bedroom, does it meet the criteria?
Not for the size of the structure.
I didn't ask you that.
3,500 square foot is a 4-bedroom classification.
But let me ask you that question again. If it is designated as a 4-bedroom, forget the square footage, going along with his argument.
The chart clearly shows square footage on TCEQ's guidance. this chart.
I understand what the chart says, but if it's a 4-bedroom house, does it meet the criteria?
No.
If it did, you wouldn't need a variance, right?
Exactly, that's my point.
But evidently-
That's why I'm asking for the variance. is to
Because it
just-
doesn't meet the qualifications of TCEQ.
Which is the number of bedrooms and the square footage. And that's why I'm asking for the variance, is to ignore the square footage and just focus on the bedrooms. That's the point of that's why I'm here. If I met it, I wouldn't be here and I'd be building a house. Yeah,
Well, that's the whole issue. You're trying to, you want to classify the house
as a
as a
four-bedroom.
4-bedroom.
Right.
There's definitions out there that say if it's over X amount of square feet, it's not a 4-bedroom, right?
I'm not sure I follow that logic.
Well, if your square footage, it says you're a 6-bedroom house, doesn't it?
That's one way to read it. But I
That's
think,
how I read it, you know, it
Well-
says,
Well, and nothing would stop you from next year going in and petition off making more bedrooms. I mean, it's the square footage.
well, there's no room, first of all, to add more
Yeah.
bedrooms. And like I said, that's why I included the layout of the house that shows the other rooms, you know, that don't have closets, which typically is what you use to define a bedroom. I don't need the bedrooms, I don't want the bedrooms. I've got 3 kids, and we're planning on when they, you know, if they come visit, that's all I need. And they're coming to visit, they're not living with us, it's just gonna be me and my wife. Now, yeah, do we have a den, do we have a game room, do we have a yoga room? Well, you know, this is the home we wanna live in, and we wanna invest. So, again, that's the point of the variance.
Jeannie, does TCEQ, from what I read, says if you have 55,000 square feet, you have to have a 420-day usage septic system?
Yes.
No matter if you got, you know, 4, 5, 6 bedrooms, a square foot?
Yes.
The current house that we have only has a 1,600 square foot septic system, and we've been living it in 10 years without any failure, without any issue.
Also, another thing, if you sold the house to somebody else and they wanted to use it as a 5-bedroom or 6-bedroom,
That's why we put the mitigation on the title, that they can't.
Well, here you go, tell somebody they can't use their house the way they want to.
that sure is creating a lot of, I don't like granting variances too much anyway. I mean, this is for the common good.
Thing is, you open the door, you can't shut the door.
That's it.
I feel the guy's pain, but you do it for one, you got to do it for everybody else.
Going against TCEQ's guidelines if we set this variance, right? We'd be going against the state's guidelines if we,
I've provided you also my daily usage and how we use it, so that's a factor in this case. I understand that you don't want to open up the door to other people asking for variances, but every variance is because it is a variance, it's specific and has its own criteria and rationale.
Ms. Jeannie, do the TCEQ guidelines have a provision for parameters for requesting a variance? Or are there square footage criteria, pretty much that's it?
That's it. This is all, there is no true way to go around their guidelines.
In other words, there's nothing Mr. Baum can point to say, well, this part of the statute says that it is a discretionary, there is discretion in it. See, that's what makes it hard for us.
I don't know. I haven't done the research. The TCEQ guidelines are that thick, and I don't know if they do or they don't, honestly. If I would have anticipated that question, I would have looked. I should have
Well, do you
looked.
think if you went and tried to get some more research, we could hold off on all this and try one more time? Or do you want us to do something right now?
I can do some research and see if the TCEQ guidelines allow for a variance.
You okay with that?
Yes, sir.
So I'm just gonna make a motion, we pull this from the agenda today.
If you want to get with me, I'll get you a contact to call.
Okay.
Is that all right with you?
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to help Mr. Bond get a contact that he can do some research.
Okay.
Okay.
We want to help you, sir.
I understand. Can we take an informal poll to see where you stand?
No,
You don't want to do
you don't want to do that.
All right.
The wind's not blowing your way, buddy.
That's, like a jury. It's like a jury, right? You just go in the room and take a quick poll and
I
see
can
where
feel
you're
some
at.
cold wind blowing, so quit while you're ahead, all right?
I'm with you. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
You can collect them until you're going to come back with something different anyway. I mean, hopefully, some kind of approval to is what we're looking for.
I don't think they give, I think you're the authority on that. I do know I read something about the local body size.
We could do that.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Bond.
sir.
Okay, item number 5, discuss and take appropriate action to allow the county judge to sign an interlocal agreement between Hood County,
think we need
Sulphur Springs PD, and Franklin County Sheriff's Office in regard to hosting net data. The lovely Drew
Gentlemen.
Whitaker here. Tell me about it.
Age-old question. Well, gentlemen, it seems we need to sign an interlocal agreement between Sulphur Springs PD and Franklin County SO. So if you remember, back in February of last year, we signed an agreement to go hosting. Of course, it was a rocky start with net data, getting to that spot, and of course, they finally sent this documentation over asking, we need to sign this so we can start the migration. And so I put it on the agenda. Now, I know there was, say again?
Is there a cost?
No, I have it already budgeted. So no, this is just getting the permission to do it.
How much do you have budgeted?
It was $35,000 after the migration was complete. But like I said, we haven't migrated yet. It's been a year and a half. But then, of course, with all this fun stuff going on, I was also asked to look back into Tyler to see what it would cost to move the county back over to Tyler. In case we had, I guess, a last-minute change of heart. And a
Benefit to Hood County.
to
What's the benefit to Hood County?
to host or to
No,
move
to do the
Tyler?
interlocal agreement.
To do the interlocal agreement itself.
So the interlocal agreement itself, net data cannot actually hold CGIS data. So it has to be at, so site 1 would be at the PD, and site 2, their backup site, would be at the SO's office, since this contains CGIS data. And
You
both of those.
recommend signing?
Let's do it. I mean, at this point, I just want to do something. Because
Why?
over the past few years, it's been, let's look into Tyler, let's not, moving back and forth. No one's made a decision. No one knows what they want to do.
What's where's the money? What's the
For-
bottom line on that?
It
just says an interlocal agreement. Is there no money that exchanges in that?
After the migration is complete, $35,000.
Okay.
But that was already done. That was signed last February.
Okay.
We still have not done the migration at all. So I would
guess
love
you're
to.
recommending it.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, or make a decision to move to Tyler, but I don't know where we're going to get the $1.3 million to do it.
Ooh, no.
So at this point, we need to make a decision. Do we want to borrow the money?
Now, what did you just say about 1.3 million?
Yeah.
To move the rest of the county over to Tyler, to
Question.
convert,
What if we don't do this and we start down that road of migrating to Tyler?
then that's fine. I spoke with Matt Mills, and he said we could get out of the contract that way.
But it hasn't come to us yet on the benefits of doing that. I mean, I don't think. We haven't really studied it, have we? Or you haven't brought a program to us that, hey, this is better to go this way and spend $1.3 million than it is to throw $35,000 away on something we don't want.
I have discussed the benefits and the cost and for the past 5 years with different courts, and no one has made the decision yet to move.
Well, we've got some agencies that are using Tyler, correct?
That is correct. Half the county's on Tyler, the other half is on net data.
So that's the dilemma.
That is correct.
There's a reason why I don't go to Tyler. I'm on net data. So, I mean, isn't it up to your own office what you want to do?
I cannot force an elected official to pick what they want to do.
Thank you.
So we're kind of back where we've been for 5 years.
That is exactly correct.
So how do we get out of this?
Choose to fund one and not fund the other.
No, we're just at some point just say we're going to do this or we're going to do that.
That's correct. Only the court would have that power. You control the budget.
And make half the county mad.
Dave, I kicked this can down the road a few years ago trying to get everything into Tyler, and the cost was so astronomical.
Yes.
And some elected officials want to stay on that data, some don't. I know when we first went into Tyler, it was a big headache. I know the auditor was in on it, purchasing in on it, treasurer was in on it, and it was a nightmare for just a little while, and they said it's the best thing never done. The system was so much easier.
I would not want to go back to that antique system.
Yeah. So that's where it was in the past, and I kind of throwed it out there. Jackie was IT director, and then Drew come in, hey, let's just all go to Tyler, and some people like net data, some don't. Some people call it a dinosaur, some say it's the best thing to post toasties. It's kind of the elected official's decision, but if we got to make a decision whether we're going to go entirely over into Tyler or still go down the road we're going now. I think that's what Drew's wanting.
That is correct.
Okay, one more question, sorry.
Sure.
What happens if we do nothing and don't approve this interlocal agreement? What happens?
Well, we already signed a contract. That was in last February.
But you just said that Matt said we could get out of that.
If we go the other way.
Oh, but we'd have to go the other way to get out of it. You just can't get out of it.
Correct.
So we'd have to spend $1.3 million to just save 35.
Correct.
Might be another decision for the future court in a few months. Do we want to go Tyler, or we want to still go half and half? I mean, that's the debate.
Do you think someday net data won't be supported by, or will not get?
I mean, net data has already been bought out once. If you look at all the other larger counties, they have all converted over to Tyler. So at some point, we're going to have to rip the Band-Aid off. But again, that would be, I guess, that court's decision, whichever court it may be, the next court, 2 courts from now. However, the longer we wait, the more it's going to cost.
Like anything else.
Exactly.
Well, to me, it doesn't make any sense to change anything in my office.
I can't hear you, Katie. Can you get?
This is on, isn't it? To me, it doesn't make any sense to switch a software program where everything's running great and spend $100 or $1.5 million to change to something just for the sake of changing it. It works perfectly fine.
Well, like I said, I'm not forcing anyone to change. That's why this contract's in front of court right now for net data.
But you got an opinion of what you think?
Oh, yeah, I think we should move to Tyler.
I'm glad you at least finally said it. I mean, you are our IT director.
I've said it. The thing is, it's been the same thing for the past.
I don't know. I can't sit up here and make a decision whether.
That's the thing. This has been the same.
Whatever we're kind of, court's kind of stuck.
A lot of counties are moving 100% Tyler too.
Judge Tuggle,
anybody else want to join this? Please. Help us out.
I mean, it would be a whole.
I totally understand the situation Drew's in, but net data was established basically for law enforcement. It helps in the JPs, the constables, the county clerk. It's a good program for us. It works great. I have gone and researched with Tyler, counties that have switched over to Tyler, the JPs that do that, hate it. hate it with a passion because it's not user-friendly. It's not easy to get programs set up for JP programs. That's my biggest heartache with the thing. I understand it would be simpler if we had one big system for the whole county, but if it's not user-friendly for half the offices in the county, I don't think it would be beneficial. That's just my opinion.
When they say they hate it, what do they hate about it? I mean, what's
It's not user-friendly. You have to go into so many different screens to do the program, to go through the steps that you have to take to do your job.
There's so many layers.
Yes. Go ahead, Kate.
And I'm sorry, we have Tyler in my land records office, and I love it. It's great. But Tyler is made up of different programmers that did different software packages. So the one that I have, the programmer did a great job. The Eagle record, or what do you have? What's the name of your? Oh, okay, the court, whatever. Okay. Well, anyway, there's like different software packages from Tyler, but they're all programmed by different programmers. So you might get something that's great, and you might get something that's not great. And that's why my court records office, we don't use Tyler. We use NetData because it's a superior software package, and we do great with it.
And can they talk to each other, Drew? Can NetData communicate with Tyler?
No.
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 And that was my problem. We've had Spillman for 11 and a half years, and we've also got NetData, and they do not talk. We figured most of the problem was past ownership, which now that's changed, so maybe it's different, but my jail is doing double entry on information. And as far as Tyler, I've had vast majority of the sheriffs around the state of Texas say, don't go there. It's a mess for the law enforcement side. So I'm stuck in the middle.
Yeah, well, I know that I've heard, at least from the district court, that, basically having to enter the data 2 to 3 times to anything related to criminal cases coming out of the sheriff's office.
Yep.
So it's basically a dilemma that we need to figure something out.
At some point, yes. So like
and your recommendation is to go all Tyler?
I would move all Tyler, but that's just my opinion. But I know, again, can't make department heads do what they don't want.
Well, I've heard that the ones that are using it are having, they're, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, kind of.
Exactly. So
what, this agenda item that you've got on here today, what does that do for us?
that will start the migration process to get it hosted outside of our data center. So it will be off-site in Sulphur Springs. That was the contract you signed last February.
That's what we agreed, and
I signed that.
You did.
Would that hurt us in a future date if we wanted to go to Tyler? Would this hurt us to do this? And then if we said, okay, next year, everybody said, yeah, we can do Tyler, and now we've, is that going to hurt us to go this way?
I mean, we're locked into a 5-year agreement.
Okay.
So it won't be for another 5 years.
But didn't you say Matt said if we decide to go to Tyler, we can get out of this contract?
That is correct, before we do the migration.
Oh. Right. If we do this, we're stuck with it 5 years.
Yes, sir.
Or y'all are.
Thanks a lot.
Drew, has it already been 1.5 years? So you're not looking at 5 years, you're looking at 3.5?
The contract states after the migration is complete. That's when this 5 years start.
We hit this every year, same thing, controversy, which way we want to go.
And
Everybody
yeah,
be
that's
happy
kind of
what
why
they
I'm
got.
just like, okay, this is it again, you know.
Well, we want everybody to be happy what they got. But let me ask you this. And I know there's people out here, Judge Tuggle, Katie likes NetData. What happens when NetData dies and goes away?
Then we'd be forced to pick something at that point.
Well, I don't think Tyler is. NetData's a dinosaur. NetData's not. And I'm not pushing either one, Katie. I'm not against what you're saying. I'm just saying what if.
Yeah,
I mean,
we'd have to pick something.
Yeah.
At that point.
And I get it. If you got a computer, a system that you like, I wouldn't want to get out from under it either. I mean, I see what you're saying, I see what the judge is saying.
Yeah, and that's why
But we got to think about the future too. Or
exactly.
y'all got to think about the future. And I'm not pitching either one. I'm not going against nobody on that data or nothing.
She is Tyler.
You have Tyler?
Yeah, and that's what we have at the district clerk's office also. So, with some of the clerks that went from the district clerks to one of the JP's office, it's a little struggle to get used to debt data.
I remember when we changed over, it was a nightmare.
Yeah.
To learn it and to figure it out, but once
Well, of course,
everybody
moving to anything new, it's going to be a struggle to learn it.
And
But once you have it,
once they learn the system,
exactly,
they loved it.
That is correct.
And I'm not selling either one. I'm just saying what happened.
Oh, I'm not
in the
either.
past.
That's why this is up there as well.
Just about half the county has Tyler and half the county has net data.
Yep.
Net data is the old one and Tyler's the new one.
That is correct.
One costs 35,000, the other costs $1 million.
$1.3 million.
$1.3 million.
It's $35,000 a year.
That is correct.
The other issue with all this, here's my policy philosophical issue when we go either way, all the way. If we go all the way to Tyler, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, because I have reached out to other jurisdictions that are all on pretty much all of them on Tyler. And from an attorney perspective, it'd be nice to be able to get into each court's files without having to go to 2 or 3 different places to do it. But setting that aside, when we get all of when everything is in one basket, it really causes me a little concern that we're captive to them from then on.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's something that certainly needs to be considered if we're going to look at going all the way one way or all the way the other, for that matter, is that once you do that, it's even going to cost more money if you ever want to try to get out of it.
Of course, and that goes for really anything. I mean, it was just like when we discussed during Fund 55 about moving Leanne from the third-party time and attendance system over to Tyler's time and attendance system. It's going to cost money up front. It was going to be $100,000. But in the long run, it's going to be cheaper, and it's going to be easier on her department. So again, that goes back to the cost analysis of what is the court's value on efficiency versus what it's going to cost up front. Because efficiency will always cost money up front, no matter what. But you reap the benefit in the long term.
And Tyler has amazing customer technical support. I mean, you call and they walk you through everything. And they do not stop until it's completed.
That's the same with that data. They're very good.
I've been here 22 years. Most of it was net data, and I wouldn't trade for Tyler. The reports, just the value for your dollar, to me, is amazing. We can present any type of report anybody needs.
From what?
From Tyler.
From Tyler.
Because I've had long experience with both.
I didn't quite get that. So are you in favor of Tyler?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure it was clear.
I've used both
I got you.
for a number of years.
But Becky, you've used software relative to your office.
There's software relative to every office here in my years of auditing. I set up the JP's icon, so I know exactly what I'm doing with net data and Tyler.
For each office.
I've worked with every office with net data, with the constables, with the JPs, with all offices. And it's my preference. Tyler's my preference. I love the reporting. I think it would benefit your office and the JPs, the constables. I really do. The reports that we can generate, that we could generate for your departments would be amazing. I'd love to help y'all with it. Anytime that you decide to go that direction, we will do whatever we can to help you utilize Tyler.
Drew, are we at a crossroad?
With this subject, we've always been at a crossroad.
We just keep kicking the can down the road.
That's all we've been doing for the past 5 years. I only presented this, again, this will be like the 5th time.
This court here. Don't look at me.
I know more now than I did last year, and I'm still not real bright, so still don't have it.
It's the same dilemma. People like net data want to stay with it.
That's it.
People got Tyler want to stay with it. Do we want to pay $35,000 for this contract and stay where we are, maybe move next year? That's y'all's call.
5 years.
Well,
If
we
you
gotta
sign
move
this
5 years,
contract, what I hear, if you sign
5
this
years.
contract, you're into it for 5 years.
Yeah.
If you don't sign the contract and start down the road towards Tyler,
Yep.
you can get
Matt
out of the
think-
contract
yes.
with net
County
data.
attorney thinks he could get out of it, yes.
That's what, so
Don't agree to this interlocal, you can, Matt thinks we can get out of it later.
If we go down the path of Tyler,
Well, but this is $35,000 a year, right?
that's correct.
So you're looking at 165, what is it, 175,000 over a 5-year period?
That's 75,000 versus $1.5 million.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
So what is the court's pleasure?
only one vote. I'm in favor of going ahead with the new stuff, Tyler. We'll go through it. Our IT director says that's where we ought to go. I know that some of the users don't like it. I've been down that road before in personal business, didn't like it when the IT come in and told me I couldn't have my friendly little thing, and I did. And I'm not bad, but I know it hurts. But somebody had to make that decision up here in the IT. And the problem with county government, we don't have a CEO that can tell you that's where we're going to go.
That's exactly right.
So the only thing we do is control the budget, and if we don't fund net data, you're going to have to go to Tyler. I think it's...
Do we have the money in the
time
budget?
It's got to come up to $1.3 million.
Do we have the money in the budget?
We'd probably have to borrow it.
That's not on the agenda to pass on that issue either.
I mean, I guess
Another
we'd have
issue
to
we'll be
discuss
dealing
that.
with, maybe today.
We'd have to discuss that. So if we don't sign it, then I guess that would be the next. I would get with the auditor to see what we could do to get the 1.3.
What does Johnson County do in Somerville? They are in Tyler or net data, do you know?
I haven't called, I called Tarrant County and
I
Dallas
was going
County.
to say, I know Erath County is going away from net data, which is Stephenville. They're moving away from net data. Their whole county is.
Yes, sir. So I know we've been kicking this prior courts. Can we punt it for 2 more weeks?
That's fine with me.
Maybe I'll go on vacation. No, I'm just,
We could always do a workshop too, Judge.
I love workshops.
Let them get in there and pick sides, and we'll have them fight it out.
There you go.
You know, I don't want to make a decision without having all the facts. That's my problem today. I mean,
I agree with that.
I just soon pull it and wait.
Okay.
You making a motion to pull it?
I'll make a motion to pull.
Got a motion, you seconded, Dave?
Yes, sir. Second.
No, made and second to pull it off and put it on the next agenda.
Okay.
Okay?
I can do that.
All
Thank you,
those in
gentlemen.
favor say aye.
Hey, what you
Aye.
put off till tomorrow.
Okay. Any nays? No. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Try to get a
Okay.
workshop together and get everybody.
Yeah. Find out how many, let's see just how many departments heads just has net data and how many has Tyler. Okay? All right. Okay, thank you. Okay. Item number 6, discuss and take appropriate action to pay comp time at current hourly rate to HR generalists while helping in the election department effective Monday, August the 17th, 2020. Ms. Melissa Welborn.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. This is really quite simple why I'm here. The employee that works in HR has been more or less filling in almost really full-time in the elections department right now while we are in between an EA. So she has put in some overtime this past going on 2 weeks, and I would just like to ask that she just get paid at her current hourly rate for that overtime, and that way she's not carrying comp time back over into HR when she actually more or less comes back in to start working in the HR department.
Can we do that without paying the time and a half?
No, it will be overtime,
Oh,
yes.
okay. You said it was
Yes,
regular.
yes,
Oh,
sorry. Yeah,
okay.
no, it
Time
will
and a
be
half,
figured
not
at
regular
time and a
rate.
half, yes.
Okay.
So this says to pay comp time, but you're not asking for comp time?
Well,
Well, comp time is calculated, when they earn comp time, we calculate it in the system as time and a half.
time and a half.
We pay it out, it's at the regular rate.
So
that
it would
worded
be
correct?
overtime.
So I'll just make that I mean, I'm fine with that.
I was just going to ask at least until the next court, and then if I see a need for it to continue, then I'll bring it back next court.
So she is invaluable. She's worked in that office.
She's a lifesaver right now, and that department could not do it without her. It will come out of my part-time budget. I believe I do have enough in there to fund her comp time. And also, I'm using a part-time employee right now, also trying to help in HR.
I second that motion to give her that. So motion's been made and second, made by Commissioner Eagle, seconded by the county judge to take appropriate action to pay comp time at the currently hourly rate to HR General Sandra while helping in the election department.
Yes, sir.
And you're going to make the decision as to whether she needs it for how long?
I'll visit with her,
Yeah.
and once the new EA gets settled in, then we'll go from there. But yes, if we feel like it needs to go into the next pay period, I'll put it on the court next time.
That's right. Okay.
Judge, I'd like to make a comment on what's been happening here. One from Melissa, the HR department, and her assistant would be dead in the water if elections are out and out. They stepped up, took charge, and didn't let the thing die. And I appreciate what the HR office did.
Thank you.
Right, and Melissa giving up a helper to do that. So everybody has stepped up to do the right thing, and I want you to know that
Everybody's worked real hard. And
recognition
thank you all.
for both you and.
All right, for your support.
Yeah, everybody's been a team player to get through this.
They have,
this hiccup.
yes.
That's good. Right. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next, the 90-day fire burn ban. Fire Marshal Jeff Young.
Right. Judge, Commissioners, I'm going to try to set a record on being brief. It's really dry.
And hot.
And hot, and I would recommend a 90-day burn ban.
I'm going to ask you something. I always ask this when we put a burn ban on, just
Yes,
for
sir.
the public information. Once we put a burn ban on, this hurricane comes in there, gives us a lot of rain, we can take the burn ban off. You and the judge can take it off, right?
We could.
Yeah.
But I don't have any confidence in getting a lot of rain out of this
I
hurricane.
don't either. I'm just saying, what if?
And I think it would take several days of soaking rain rather than just one day of heavy rain. The last rain event we had lowered our KBDI by 8 points. The next day, it went back up 5.
Yeah. It's dry. There's a lot of fuel out there.
Yes.
And I'm not against the burn ban. I'm just always said, what if?
Yes, sir.
You'll notify us when you're comfortable with the KBIDI index.
Yes, sir.
Judge, I'll be the bad guy. I'll make the motion that we approve the fire marshal's request for 90-day burn bans being effective today.
Yes, sir.
I'll second.
Dave?
Yes, sir.
Been made by Commissioner Deaver to put in effect a 90-day burn ban, second by Commissioner Eagle. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. I'm sure glad I don't have to go home today and tell Brenda, my wife, that we didn't put that burn ban in effect. Is this it?
Lots of fuel. And it's dry fuel.
Thank you. Okay. Takes care of that. And item number 8, consider and take appropriate action to have the county judge sign new interlocal agreement with Erath County for inmate housing. Sheriff Deeds.
Judge, Commissioners, this is an annual thing. We have housing for inmates in Erath County and Somerville County at this point in time. So the interlocal agreement came due with Erath County, so it's the same as last year. The cost is the same. It's $45 a day to house an inmate. So everything is the same. So I just ask that we renew this agreement and stay working with them for another year. Don't really have a whole lot of choices. A lot of full jails out there, so Erath is still available in Somerville County. So
Okay.
Yeah, you're right, being a coastal county, this is a no-brainer. I think we have to do it. I mean, so I'll make that motion to have the judge sign the new interlocal agreement with Erath County for inmate housing.
Second. A motion is made by Commissioner Cotton for the county judge to sign the new interlocal agreement with Erath County for inmate housing, second by Commissioner Deaver. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Sheriff. Are you next? Receive information from Sheriff regarding the Hood County Memorandum of Understanding for P25 unit ID allocation. And we've got Honorable, how long has Steve been working for the Sheriff?
I think he's about 57 years or something.
I thought, close enough. He started at 6, didn't he? He didn't even go to
4.5.
He's 4.5. You didn't even go to elementary school, did you?
I think he's got a year on me.
Right to work for the Sheriff's Department.
I think you're 34 years, right?
30, in my 37th.
37th year?
36.
I said I never could catch you, that's why I'm retired.
Lieutenant Siegler is a great person to have around for a lot of different things, and one of the things that he's overseeing for us is all the sheriffs of the state of Texas get the allocation of the numbers for identification numbers for the trunking systems. So this is just an information for you. We have some handouts, and then I'll let Lieutenant Siegler talk a little more about that. But for all these, in the past with just a standard analog system or even the basic P25 systems, we didn't have to have the number identification in the radios. But for the systems of the future, with right now with the Fort Worth system that the constables we're trying to get their radios set up so they can move into that, and anything else for the future with the trunking system has to have county identification code. So in the past, we have utilized it already with a couple of the fire departments that are working with Johnson County and Parker County. And I have a deputy that's on the U.S. Marshals Task Force, so he utilizes that. So this is just for your information how that works, and I'll turn it over to Lieutenant Siegler.
Like the sheriff said, this is mainly informational transfer so that the commissioners know what's going on. That single sheet of paper, the MOU that was drawn up, is done. These ID numbers are assigned to the county, and so the county issues those out, so we're issuing them out in the county's name. I'm in state contact with the state in reference to these numbers. The next set of papers that are stapled together is simply our plan for the future and how these numbers will be allocated. There's 10,000 numbers allocated to our county. Some have already been handed out. They're for the P25 project, or Project 25 compliance with the state interoperability for communications. That's simply about it. These MOUs, I've signed a couple with internal agencies of our county government, but there's going to come a point in time eventually where we'll have to sign with the city of Granberry or Toller, and this is going to be in the future, and I figure that'll probably take some recent court vote, or that's two different governing bodies signing some type of agreement. But basically, this MOU says this is what the county's going to do, and this is what the receiving agency is going to do, just so there's an understanding of who's responsible for what as far as this information goes.
Well, for those of us who don't know, what's P20? What's P?
Project 25. It came shortly after 911. It's simply a program where a bunch of the radio manufacturers and a bunch of the states got together, and because we lost interoperability, we found out on 911. Nobody could talk to each other. So this is a program that emergency services, law enforcement services, the ability to have interoperability in an emergency with the equipment they have.
It's a national standard that was set up quite a few years ago now to, everything has to work together and build upon that initial P25 system that was out there. So different manufacturers have different radios, but they all have to work the same as far as that P25 standard that's out there. And this, with the numbers, that goes along with the trunking systems.
So all the different radios that we've looked at here recently, this P25 would go, no matter which ones were chosen and which way we went, this P25 is like a word perfect or something. Yeah, okay.
Correct.
I got you now. Thank you.
So no action needs to be taken. This is just information for the court.
Nothing we decide or anything. Did you just bring us update to let us know that you're keeping with the national standard?
Yeah, and since we're administering these numbers for the county, we figured y'all like to know.
Good deal. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Both. Okay. Item number 10, consider and take action on a resolution calling a portion of the county's tax note, Series 2018, for redemption prior to maturity. Becky Kidd.
Judge, Commissioners, we have been very careful with our debt service monies. We've collected extra for the purpose of paying down on notes, specifically the library note, Commissioner Eagle's favorite. And we are able to pay down on this note and save $61,000 in interest. So with the resolution you will sign, we will move forward on that, if the court agrees.
We got the money to do it. I mean,
Yes, sir.
We get the money. We pay off the debt and save the interest.
We're paying off a portion of it.
Yeah. Okay.
This would be the second time we've done that, so the court has been very careful and prudent in taking care of this loan.
Good. I like 63,000.
That'll help our tax rating too, our credit rating, doesn't it?
Yes,
Help
sir.
the county's tax rating, credit rating. I guess it's a benefit, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You recommending it?
Yes, sir.
Any further discussion? I hear a motion.
Judge, I'll make a motion for a resolution calling for a portion of the county's tax note series 2018 for redemption prior to maturity.
Here's a second.
Second.
White to pay a portion of the county's tax note series 2018 for redemption prior to maturity. Second by Commissioner Deaver. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. All right. Item number 11, take appropriate action to hold a public hearing for the fiscal year 2021 proposed Hood County budget. Ms. Kidd.
Gentlemen, Commissioner Eagle had brought up a point of using fund balance for the purpose of reducing the budget and the tax rate. One of the things that would be beneficial is you can use that. One of the reasons I would use it is to pay for Tyler, for the whole county. You could utilize that in this next budget, and that would keep your budget where it is. You just bring that money in from the prior year. That would be a good use for it. That's the starting point of this, and I'm glad he's talked to me about that. Some of the other things I wanted to discuss with you, because we are careful and we do have extra money that we budget for each year, we paid off $5,606,696 in a little over a 2-year period on equipment that we didn't borrow money from. We have bought, I'm going to try to go through this quickly, probably won't be as quick as Jeff, but boilers, replace air conditioners. We have put up a building at Citizens Collection Station. I mean, the list goes on. Fire protection, bunker gear, air packs. We've refurbished 3. We've refurbished 2 fire engines, fire trucks, and replaced 1. So that was almost $1 million right there. We bought, where's my last page? 29 vehicles in the last 2 years with this money, because you've been careful and we were able to capture that money and utilize it instead of borrowing it. Any questions?
What are we doing right now? Public hearing on the budget? Is that
Anyone
what
who
we're
wants to?
doing?
Yes, sir. But I wanted to give you a little background on where we were and why we haven't borrowed any money since 2014. So
And just to clarify, I didn't talk to you about getting into fund balance.
It's in an email.
Yes, it is, but that's not the context. I talked to you about why last year, the last fiscal year, if you go look at our financial statement that's online, and it was published by or conducted by I.D. Bailey, our third-party outside auditor, we had a $4 million surplus last year.
Yes, sir.
And every year, I've gone back 10 years, we've had more money coming in than we've spent, and a lot more. $4 million is like roughly 8 cents of tax money.
I'm not sure I completely agree with that.
I wasn't talking about going into fund balance. I was talking about not working our budget where we didn't have such a surplus at the end of the year, and there is a difference.
Well, that's how you work your budget, so you don't have a surplus. You use your fund balance. We have a $30 million expenditure budget. We have $18 million in the bank. We need to keep at least half of the $30 million as 6 months operating expenditures. I'm not trying to break the bank or save the bank. This is just good bookkeeping and good use of your funds. I'm not looking at the county for next year, next week, next month. I'm looking down the road for 5, 6 years. I know that with what we're looking at buying, I have a list. I hope I have that list. Here it is. These are some of the wish list things. I say wish because it would be nice if we could purchase these things. The sheriff alone needs $3.4 million in cameras, patrol cars, trunking system, and radios. Fire department needs another $1 million for refurbishing fire trucks and air packs. Facility maintenance needs $705,000. Road operations, $390,000. Voting equipment, $620,000. And then you add on Tyler, which is $1.3 million. Again, these are things we've been trying to do every year, so we don't borrow money. And if you have to borrow money, I'm trying to get it to where we wait till we pay off another loan. Therefore, you inload that, you pay a small payment the first year, and then it falls into place for the next year, so your debt service rate stays consistent.
So what should our debt service rate be?
Should be anywhere from 4.2 cents to 0.5 cents.
And what is it now?
Right now, I believe it's 4.04. It's not a nickel, it's not 4 cents. It's between the two. I do not have that in front of me. But if you went with the anticipated tax rate of 0.426777, your debt service rate would be 0.4044044. It's close to that now.
So do you understand that I wasn't asking you about?
My mistake. But it's something that's viable and doable. It's a good plan. If you choose to do it, you know where the money's coming from. You won't have to borrow it. You can utilize fund balance. You can utilize fund balance for a number of things. It's just how much do you want to do?
Well, it's how much do you want to tax, how much tax do you want to impose on the taxpayers to put in a savings account? That's really what it is.
No, that's not what it is. You have no way of knowing what revenue will come in. You need to budget prudently. And that's what we're trying to do here. That's what the courts tried to do for years. Long before me, people were trying to make sure there was enough money to pay the bills. And I'm just following suit. I'm trying to make sure that this county has a healthy fund balance, so if anything happens, we don't have to borrow a large sum of money.
When's the last time we borrowed a large sum of money that didn't go out as a bond issue?
I don't even remember. The last money borrowed was on the YMCA in 2014.
And that was a bond issue where the taxpayers got a chance to make a decision themselves, didn't they?
That's correct.
So is the budget that we're having a public hearing on based on this item number 12, the tax rate of 0.426777?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so these are really kind of issues need to be spoken about together, don't they?
That's why we're having both of these here, why I wanted to give you some background on what we had done in the past. It just saves you money in the long run. That's all I have unless
I
there's
got a
any.
question for you, Becky. On this capital list you sent, what is a refurbished Bearcat?
The sheriff, that's something he talked about in budget hearings. They send me information on what they want on the list. Roger can come up and explain that. I'm not 100% sure what it is.
We talked about it in
An
the last
armored
board.
vehicle?
That was, I brought that to you in the capital meeting of the budgets, and that's a armored, Linco is the brand name, and it's called a Bearcat, so it's an armored personnel vehicle.
Buy a new one or or fix?
Yeah, well, the new one was, if I remember right, it was like $295,000. The used one that had a warranty on it, refurbed, was that cost that is shown on that.
So this is buying a used one?
That's a used one.
Okay.
So that's what that was.
You had the pictures and everything when you showed it to us. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I brought pictures in that day and handed out to each of you, so.
Roger, on your list here, you got patrol car cameras, body cameras, cameras for interview rooms, patrol cars, trunking system, radio system. Would your Bearcat be the one you'd want to scratch first?
Yeah.
I mean, you've talked about this before.
Yeah,
If we had to scratch something.
If I had to, that'd be at the bottom of the list.
Okay.
I'm hoping, we're looking for parts, mechanic is looking for parts to hopefully get the MRAP running.
Right.
We've had brake problems with that, so hopefully we can get that running, and that'll do the same thing that Bearcat would have.
I'm just saying, worst scenario, if we had to scratch something, that'd be your first, probably
Yes.
off your list. I'm not saying I want to, I just said if we have to.
Yes, that would be one to take off the list.
Yeah.
Trunking might be second, or?
The trunking is out there. We've been working towards those goals for lots of years, so, but that would be the next one on the list. The cameras, the Panasonic arbitrators they're past their life expectancy. We're going to have to replace them. I've got Panasonic body cameras that we've been told that they're not going to support those any longer, but then I've seen advertisements for them. So we've looked into other brands to go different directions with that. Axon is a good one that they have different programs where you can pay them out for 5 years. So those numbers came from an Axon quote for in-car cameras, body cameras, and then the possibility of the B81, the intoxilizer room, and the interview rooms, doing it all together. But it's all in parts, so.
Patrol cameras, body cameras, and patrol cars would be the number one thing that you would need right now to
those we're living on borrowed time with, yes. We try to keep them running to make the best cases we can for court. And any more, 20 years ago, they'd take what an officer said. Now you got to have different car cameras, body cameras, and a whole bunch of other things with that before the court will even consider moving forward with the case. So
I can see how those three are priorities, right now.
We had just for people in here who didn't know, we had a workshop last week regarding the tax rate that was noticed for the public, and we had a handful of people show up. But just for transparency's sake, we're talking what ifs today, right, Becky?
That's correct.
I've presented an alternate rate, and it's lower than the no new revenue rate by a couple of cents. And I just want to put some food for thought in the record so that the taxpayers out here understand, and I'll do my best to explain it because a lot of people are having trouble with the new guidelines as a result of Senate Bill number 2. No new revenue does not necessarily mean no new taxes. I'm going to repeat that. No new revenue, which is the rate that we're giving you, does not necessarily mean no new taxes. And based on the spreadsheet that we had at last Commissioners Court, no new revenue means that the average homestead is going to pay $52 more a year. Doesn't sound like much, I understand. But it's confusing when you say, when the taxpayer, I thought you said there was going to be no more tax. It's no more revenue. So I've calculated a rate, and we were given like 3 rates. One where the no new revenue rate is $52 more per homestead owner on average. And then we were given 2 or 3 other nominal rates underneath that. I've calculated a rate where the average homestead pays 0 more than they did last year. And why did I do that? And I'm not saying that we, at the end of the day, have to do that. I'm just using it as a point of comparison because I don't feel like we're getting it out there, because I have a lot of people that come to me in my precinct that are confused. And in my opinion, we need to sharpen the pencil in this county a little bit. And it just came out yesterday that the Granberry ISD voted no raises. Now I know that sounds, we have great employees in this county, but we have, as a result of government action since this COVID thing hit, we have forced some businesses completely out of business. They've had to lay off employees. Our unemployment rate right now is higher than it's been since the Great Depression. Right now, Texas unemployment rate is 8%. In May, it was 12%. So it is improving. But what I would ask our county employees to think about is just what I said, that we are a very high rate of unemployment. It's been the government's response to COVID that has done what's happened to the private sector, in my opinion. And our governor is sitting down there still. We're sitting still after 5 months under a declaration of disaster, when the rates of infection and the rates of the death rates as a function of population is less than the flu right now in Texas. Some businesses are being told to operate at 75%. I never will figure out how somebody figured that one up. Most restaurants, for instance, if they're operating at 100%, may make an 8% to 12% margin. So operating at 50% is a loser. I'm asking everybody in this county that works for the county to go back to the drawing board and think about this. If those who teach our children can make a sacrifice of not getting a raise this year, maybe we need to consider that, if that helps us at the bottom line this year. And at this stage, I'm not saying that's what we do, but right now we have a budget that's given across-the-board raises. That's what was in your email to me.
No, I was asked if there was, you have to keep in mind that we cut $700,000 out of the budget to start with when we got the first numbers from the appraisal district. They were extremely low and panicked all of us. So we went with those numbers and we cut $700,000 out. And that's always been the court's action. If you want something, you've got to give something up. Well, these departments gave up $700,000. We had to add back to it because the cost of health insurance went up. The cost of workman's comp's going up. The fire insurance is going up. There are things that are going up. We have no control over it. But I was asked, would there be any money there for that? And yes, there would be for that, and that's why.
For what?
For raises if the court chooses to. But
based on what rate number?
It's based on the fact that the judge and the gentleman were careful, and we cut every single budget in the county.
So let me ask you.
There would be any way that you could give a raise.
The .426777, the published no new revenue rate, based on what your information and your numbers, includes a 2% raise across the board, correct?
I don't have a 2% raise budget. If you look at the salaries, they're the same as last year. Don't have that budget. That's not my decision. I don't have that in there. I have what absolutely had to take place, which was increase the insurance, increases that we have no control over. That's what I have.
So I'm trying to get an answer to a question.
No, I
The .42677 rate, which is what we've published to the county or the appraisal district as our no new revenue rate, that does not, as a factor of our budget, that would not include raises.
It would include what you choose for it to include, but I have not budgeted raises in this budget that I sent y'all the other day. They're not in there.
Can I speak? Dave, can I speak?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just to clarify, I know what you're talking about. Let's see if I'm clear in my mind of what we're talking about. Last year, the last 2 years, our tax rate for Hood County was 428,018. Is that correct, Becky?
Yes.
That's what our tax rate. This year, that's not our rate. That came from the appraisal district, gave us the no new revenue rate. You can define it however you want to, and I'm not good at that, but that's what the district is giving us. They give it, that's their numbers, and we give them numbers, but they go through the form sheet to come up with this number. And the district is telling us that the no new revenue rate is .42677, about 2 cents less than what the rate was last year. Almost 2 cents, right?
No, about 0.3 of a cent.
Or 0.3 of a cent, or not a cent, but it's lower. So last 2 years, we kept the rate the same. This year, the no new revenue rate is lower than last year's rate. I just want to make sure that was clear to everybody. Is that right? Okay, so, but that's not, that number wasn't developed from our budget. That was a number developed by the appraisal district based on the revenue that they were going to get in. So we haven't got to the budget yet, I don't think, Dave.
Well, I understand, but it is based on last year's real numbers. And that's where we start from with our budget. So yes, I mean, and that's something that's been confusing to this person sitting in this seat, is that I can't do a budget till I get a rate, and I'm thinking, well, how can we set a rate till we get a budget? And and I'm not really sure I'm still clear on that. And I have spoken with other counties. I've gone down and spoken with our chief appraiser, and there's a lot of muddy water, murky water that goes along with this new SB2 as to how you get from point A to point B. And so all I'm doing, we're just what-ifing it today, right? All I'm doing is saying and by the way, whatever the no new revenue rate that the appraisal district came up with is based on numbers that we gave them.
No, sir, it's not.
That's not what Eddie Rose says.
I'm sorry. This is the form. This is the form that the state.
And I sat in Eddie Rose's office, and he told me that every number in that form is what most of those numbers you gave to them, other than the appraisal district numbers.
She was here because
Me too.
none of these numbers on this form I gave you today came from us.
Other than the debt, you gave them that, didn't you?
The debt isn't even part of the no new revenue. It doesn't come in until the voter approval rate. And that's a rate nobody in this court would go with because it's .53. This form that was put out by the state, necessitated by Senate Bill 2, is a no new tax rate worksheet that we received from the appraisal district. I took it apart and put it back together. I compared it to last year. I have no idea why there's that much difference. I have looked at it and cannot understand it. Every number on this form, except the tax rate, which is public, came from the appraisal district. Every number. I've done the math. I've had the computer do the math. I come up with a tax rate of .426775. But no, sir. That is an incorrect statement. The only thing we give the appraisal district is our debt.
So that begs, so here we go again. How can they give us a no new rate if they don't know what we spent last year and you didn't give them the numbers?
They can pull that on the website.
So every number that's in their worksheet, they provided.
Except debt. And the railroad commission monies, which they received from the state. Andrea gets a copy of that.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
is in the voter approval rate, which I didn't bother to put in here because we will not go with that.
Becky, we had to reduce the rate because at the old rate, the property tax rate, you got to make the distinction between property tax rate and property revenue. It's a big difference here. The no new revenue, if we'd applied the same rate last year, which is 0.428018, would have created new revenue.
More revenue.
More revenue. Still under the 3.5% that you'd have to take it to the voters, but it would have provided more new revenue, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That rate is not, that rate's too high, and that's not a prudent rate to go with.
Okay, so the standard homestead in Hood County is $215,500, is that what it is? And it, using the .426777 is lower, like I said, 0.3% lower than it was the tax rate last year. It means an increase in taxes to the average homeowner in Hood County of $52.
Yes, sir.
But the $52 means creating what kind of a surplus revenue for us to have in case, God forbid, something bad happens and we don't know what COVID-19 is going to do or how our economy is going to do or anything else. How much revenue are we talking about difference?
The information I have is 551,000.
So this proposed rate.
What's that number?
551,000, that's per their calculations.
For what?
The difference between your 2019 tax levy and your 2020 tax levy.
So let me get this right, Becky. We'll be raising with this 42677, $551,000 more dollars than we did the year before.
According to the calculations I have received.
Your worksheet shows 278,416 is the difference. Using the 42677, your worksheet over here on the right shows the difference is $278,416 is black. That's the last worksheet I got.
You're on the wrong page.
Well, which one should I be going to?
First sheet.
Yeah, that's what I've got. You know what I have, the rate 42677?
Look at the bottom. The difference of 551,210.
Or 2.14%. Oh, okay. Oh, well then, oh, I got you. So what's, if you use these tax levies, include the new property values, last year's tax levy would have been this, then the difference is what does that figure mean?
That's the difference between the tax levy between the 2 years with the new value. I'm trying to give you as much information as I can.
Yeah, give me a lot of numbers.
That's a lot of numbers. But the overall number here is that you would be increasing the revenue by 22.1%.
That's $551,210. That's what I got. I'll go back to something, and Dave, I get what you're saying. I'm going to cross you, but not crossing the intent to be mean. I know the court in the past, I've never done it since I've been on court, has asked employees and elected and appointed officials to go a year without a raise. And that has happened. I don't know, I think it hasn't happened since I've been here, but I know it's happened once that I know of. I'm going to firmly stand that we give our employees some kind of a raise. I'm going to stand behind that 100%. If I have to do without one, I don't want to leave our employees behind because some of them are behind anyway. And I'm going to stand by giving our employees a raise. Got to. We can't let them go backwards. And some of them are backwards.
And just to be clear, for the record, I'm not necessarily advocating that we not, but there are places in this county where we can look hard to cut more expenses possibly, where we don't have to consider that. But I realize that it puts me in a position up here to have everybody in this county working here hate me for suggesting that folks in the county consider themselves. Everybody has to go home and look themselves in the mirror, whether they can consider, can I get by 1 year? And I'm not saying to do it. I'm just saying consider, because one more time, we have run a lot of folks out of business in this town. And the government has caused a lot of unemployment. And I just want everybody who works in this county to understand that our actions, not y'all individually, but the actions, especially coming out of Austin, have put us in a position where we're between a rock and a hard place. And I want just consider what the taxpayers think about it when they have lost jobs. There's 8% unemployment in Texas. I don't know what it is locally right now. It was 12% in May. Look up and say, well, the county gave themselves all a bunch of raises. I want you to think about that. That's all I'm putting on the table. And I understand what Commissioner Devers says. I agree. Everybody in this county works hard. A lot of people out there worked hard until they got shut down by the government, too.
Becky,
And we're just talking what ifs today.
So Becky, a 2% raise would be $350,000, right? Does that count retirement and everything?
How much was that?
$350.
I know when they did it.
Department did give up something. Every department did give up, without question, $700,000. So it's not like they didn't make a sacrifice. They did make a sacrifice. And I want to say something else right here. Really because of Jay Webster bringing his expertise in here. And hopefully, we've already got over $500,000 back that we've put back into the economy here in Hood County. And it's earmarked that we got another, what, 2 million? Is that right, or 2.5? 2.5?
That'd be the total, I think, isn't it, Jack? That'd be the total.
Putting back in the county to try to make everybody whole. And there was a lot of business, 73 businesses that got $3,000 apiece. 3 big deals that got a bunch of other money. Restaurants were able to qualify for PPP money, which is that payroll protection plan that helped a lot of restaurants. I hope that everybody that could qualify for it took it. I wish that Mike Scott was here, because he said at one meeting how many businesses had to close. Of course, everybody just hates that any business had to close, and we don't want to ever close any businesses again. And I just hope that we're able to make whole a whole bunch of Hood County by doing the reimbursement. Now, we have guidelines we have to follow in order to qualify for the remainder of the money. Am I correct on that, Jay? Yes, sir. But if we do that, that puts a lot of money back here in the county that hopefully the right people will be able to get it. I know that a bunch of hairdressers, for example, that couldn't work for a period of time, that they got $3,000 apiece. And just to help people out, we did as best we could to help them out and get back on it. So it's been a difficult time, and we're going to try to do the best we have, best we can do about it. So my suggestion is, why don't we just, what we're doing here is just to propose something. Let's propose a tax rate and kind of do a budget with the proposed tax rate. And if we use the tax rate that the appraisal district proposed, the .2677, which we said is 0.3 cents less than what the tax rate was last year, which was .428018.
Well, Judge, I'd like to, even ask Becky, 42677, the next spreadsheet you gave us was down to 423777. Is that unreasonable? So it would show that we'll now have to fit our expenses into that if we drop down to 42377, which is another 0.3 of a cent, isn't it?
What would that do to the $56 per taxpayer?
That was my question.
Well, I know it'd go from 2.1% increase in revenue down to 1.51%.
Takes it down to $45.
Take the 45 away?
45.
Well,
Well, if you can make it on that.
if you can make it on that, at least that would even be below what the state, the state has given us on the no new revenue. We take it one step lower. I mean, that's just, again, I'm just talking, we ain't voting on it, I'm just
Just talking, right?
considering what we could do. And if auditor thinks we could make it at that aren't sure worth be considering.
That's even better. I like that even better. 0.423777. Better than 0.42677.
Right, which is the lower than the no new revenue, and also lower than our last year's tax rate.
Yeah, it's lowered about 0.42.
Yeah, from last year's tax rate.
You're getting close to a half a cent.
Yeah. Headed in the proper direction.
And it won't kill all this stuff that's on this list here. The sheriff can get his radios. Then I'm all for that, Sheriff. I'm not knocking.
We don't know yet, Sheriff. Might. We might have to defund somebody. We'll be looking at
list
you.
here. I'm not singling out the sheriff. Fire department gets their refurbishing air packs. Faculty maintenance gets their stuff. Road ops gets their trucks. Voters get their voting machines.
Can't do everything in one year. I mean, that's, you're just,
How you gonna get the vehicles and stuff like that for the sheriff department if you can't do it all?
That's why we're having the budget hearing. If you've given me a tax rate to work with, there's people here, if they need to come up and talk about things they want to put in this budget, now's a good time to do it, so we have something viable, we can move forward with this tax rate and the budget.
This is a public hearing.
So if there's any elected or appointed official here that wants to discuss something that they need to put in the budget, now's the time to do it.
All this stuff here we got that's already in here.
That's correct.
I like your deal. 14237 sheet, do it.
So will we have to borrow money to buy all this stuff here, or can we do it on this tax rate here?
We can't, that doesn't give you an additional $5 million.
gotta borrow the money, or some of it. We look at the fire trucks on here, you got 3. They'll be lucky to do 2 a year. If you can take the other third fire truck and buy all the air packs or whatever you want. I don't.
Cutting you off. Constable Shirley, did you have something to add on 11 and 12?
No, Judge, I'm good, thank you.
I'm sorry?
No, Judge, I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Okay.
You got a couple of speakers, don't you? Are they talking on this one, Judge?
Yeah, on the next one, on the 13.
Oh.
I got on 13. I got 2 public participation forms on the item number 13. So we're going to hold another public hearing on this tax rate? Is that what we're going to do? You're going to work out a budget as far as using the numbers now?
Can we make a motion to propose a tax rate on this one, or not? Should we? We already did it once. Last time.
Just ask me to propose a budget with.
I think that's 12, isn't it?
4233777.
Yep.
There's no one here adding anything. This is the judge's budget. He will tell me what to put in, what he wants.
Say that.
That's what we do. I'm requesting you to prepare a budget using the tax rate of 0.42377 and bring it back, and we will vote on it at the next Commissioners Court. Okay?
What's our deadline on voting on it?
September 30th.
That and the budget.
24th, September 24th. 60 days after they give the roll to her.
Okay, so when is our next Commissioners Court? It's on the,
September 8th?
September 8th.
Yes, sir.
You gonna have that ready for us then? That's good. Yes, sir. Okay.
all right, if we're ready to move on to item number 13. Item number 13, discuss and take appropriate action for registering Hood County voters in the Janelle Morris Room of the Hood County Library. We have two citizens here that have signed a public participation form. The first one was Ms. Sharon Sheelander, who prepared it. So, Ms. Sheelander, would you come up here and give us your opinion? Good morning.
Good morning.
You may have to raise that thing.
I might have to raise it up a little bit, or could I have a stool?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, I just had a couple of questions here about this, because I see that they're wanting to set up a room to register voters in one of the rooms of the library. And I don't really know how that's being set up or who's going to be maintaining it. That type of thing. So I had a question on that, of how exactly that's going to be set up and maintained. Who would be in charge of that?
How about Jennifer come up?
For coming up and talking.
We got the librarian herself.
We might be able to do Harold at the same time, and everybody, and Harold get up at the same time, and then he can add to it.
Yeah, I just have questions really
Sure.
about it. because I don't-
Well, I think these two are probably the ones that are going to have to answer it for you.
Okay, great.
Is that all right?
Hi there. Hi, how are you? I'm good. Hi.
Why don't we
so
ask
that was
Harold, do you have any ideas? Harold, you're the one that kind of asked for this, I think.
Yeah, actually.
How do you think it's going to work?
Slightly modified, having talked to Jennifer earlier in the weekends, that is, there's a, set up a table rather than in that room in the general library. I'll defer to Jennifer for that. The way they've done the census, we'll have a deputy try to house it with just deputy election registrars. So be available, just facilitate. If someone needs help filling it out, then we're there to help them. We'll have designated hours.
So just anybody could schedule to come in and work a valid registrar that they could just get on their schedule?
Welcome.
And would you be the person that we schedule that with, or?
I would, or via Jennifer's office. We were going to set specific times, publicize it,
I don't think it should be the librarian's job to do
reason
this.
is
I think the volunteers should be the ones scheduling
Right,
this,
that was one of
not the
my questions.
librarian.
I didn't want the library.
No,
that's.
I'm with you on that, yes.
So what were your thoughts, Jennifer? We talked the other day.
First of all, the state has set up, standards for libraries to be a place where people register to vote. And we already provide that service. We have signs, we have the cards. We already are in compliance with that. When people make a new account, we say, would you like to register to vote? If they say no, we aren't required to fill out any declination forms or anything like that. But if they do fill it out, they either take it with them or they can fill it out right there. We are asked by the state to offer the same amount of help to them filling out a form as we would any other form. And when they're completed, we take them and we have 5 days to get them to where they're supposed to go, and we have an envelope that's in our office, or we stick it in the mail, and so that's what we do. Now, there is a push, to get people to register to vote, and the reason why libraries are important to do that is because it has sometimes a different audience, because we pull in people maybe that are low income or those kinds of things that come for our free services. Earlier this month, we had somebody come from the census to help with that, and we just set up a table by the computer, and I didn't have anything to do with it except provide them a space. And people came in, and she had a few people stop, and she was bilingual and was very helpful to those people to fill out those things. I do know that we really don't need to utilize the whole room. I think that if we put it in the libraries, if this is something they're wanting to do, it just encourages more people to register to vote, and I'm all for that. Of course, it has to be nonpartisan. There can be no T-shirts or buttons or anything that promotes one agenda or the other. But with that said, I do know that National Voters Registration Day is September 22nd, and to me, that could be a great way to do that and host something at the library for a few hours. I know that Mr. Granick also talked about wanting to make sure we did it in the evening where people who work. I've not had a lot of people question how to fill out a registration form very often. If there's those things out there, those questions can be answered by them. It would not require anything of my staff. I just know that whoever works it can't inform them of.
Can't promote
You
anything.
can't promote, and you can't do any information. It just has to be, how do I fill out this form, basically.
My office is just outside of the election administrator's office, and I see people all the time coming and get the card. They don't sit down and help those people fill out that card. Here's your card. There's a place to sit over there. They go fill it out and give it back to them.
Yep. And if we want to have a drive, a lot of
That's
times
kind of
people
what
have a
I'm at.
voters registration drive just to push getting people registered to vote. If they want to do that, I'm okay hosting that in the library, especially if we want to do it in coordination with National Voter Registration Day, which is September 22nd, and maybe possibly do it on October 3rd is the last day you can register to vote. Maybe having that on a Saturday when people are available, but I think a couple of times is plenty, but it wouldn't involve my staff at all.
Well, that was one of my questions.
Yeah.
I didn't want to put an added addition.
No, we already do, yeah, no.
And I didn't know who was scheduling and how that was being
Yeah.
set up, so.
It's not through us at all. It's something that Dr. Granick has asked, so.
Can I work with you? Because I
Oh,
do have some registrars I know
absolutely.
that might be interested.
My view is I would like to see everyone who's qualified to register have available to register. This week I had someone who applied has a disability, and in filling out the form had a question, which I hopefully answered correctly because I didn't have the appropriate person, but I'd like to have everyone who's qualified to register. I would like to have every registered voter voting.
Right.
And if I were really idealist, I'd like every voter to be informed.
Exactly.
And that's all I'm saying is to use the library, which under state law is a designated registration agency, use that to make it more convenient for people who might want to use it.
Okay. Those are my
Like we got the three right people together here. Y'all can work it out then as who's going to man it. You can, where it's going to be and how many days it's going to be.
Yes.
That sounds like a good plan to me.
Y'all don't need us. Bring your lunch. It'll be a long day for you.
No food in the library.
Looks like you're not going to get to eat then.
Good.
Just make it clear, we
Thank you.
cannot
Thank you for
promote
both for
anybody.
coming up and
Cannot wear
sharing your
badges.
thoughts.
Okay.
The sheet on there, Dr. Gator, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. So, yeah, we don't need any action. They're going to work it out themselves as to what they're going to do in the hours, etc. All right, this brings us to the last item here on the agenda. Consider and take appropriate action to authorize the county judge to sign interlocal cooperation contract between Hood County Sheriff's Department and Pecan Valley MR region for providing transportation services for individuals experiencing a mental health crisis event. Sheriff Deeds.
Judge, Commissioners, this is a interlocal agreement that we've had for quite a few years, and it pays for mileage. So when we have to go 2.5 hours up to take somebody up to Wichita Falls, it covers that mileage for that. They don't provide, I have to provide the manpower to do it, and you provide the vehicles to do it, but this helps reimburse us as far as the mileage. So it's a good deal, and so I ask that you approve this, and there's 2 copies that they requested be signed by the judge. So
some money is better than no money.
Some money is better than no money, so this is what we've got for quite a few years. They've went with this mileage deal.
Good. Okay. Do I hear a proper motion?
I'll make the motion to authorize the county judge to sign the interlocal cooperation contract between Hood County Sheriff's Department and the Pecan Valley MHMR region for providing transportation services for individuals experiencing a mental health crisis event.
Motion made by Commissioner Cotton.
I'll second.
And the interlocal cooperation contract, second by Commissioner Deaver. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Sheriff.
Thank you.
Okay, there's no other stated business, so we are adjourned.